Good morning. Today we'll be starting the lecture by taking examples of Cope rearrangement. Now, how do we work out examples of Cope rearrangement? How do we work out the product using the Cope rearrangement? When the examples become complicated, then it is a bit tricky to understand that what kind of a product will be formed. And then when it is tricky, you can always, as I've told you before also, always resort to naming the starting compound and keep the same naming while transforming it onto products. Let's say I'll talk about example 1 here. How can we explain the formation of this product from the starting compound? Let's say this is the starting compound I have. It underwent a thermal concerted rearrangement and led to the formation of this product. A double bond here and a double bond here. How could we explain the formation of this product? Now, whenever you're working at a Cope rearrangement, or whenever you're looking at a particular example, when you have two double bonds in the reactant system, try to figure out whether these two double bonds are 1,5-hexadiene or not. And if it is 1,5-hexadiene under thermal conditions, there is a lot of chances that the concerted mechanism would be following a Cope rearrangement methodology and would lead to the corresponding formation of the product. So let's try to work out whether this is 1,5-hexadiene or not. Okay, if I start from this terminal position of this diene, let's say this is first carbon atom, this will be second. If this is third, now I have multiple options as far as fourth is concerned. In fact, I have two options here. I can either take this one as fourth, fifth, and then at fifth position you do not have a double bond, so naming cannot be fourth and fifth here. If I take this one fourth, and then this one would be probably fifth and sixth, so this portion of the molecule, this is actually a 1,5-hexadiene moiety. Of course, I could have taken the naming from 4 to 5 here also, but when I took 5 here, there was no double bond between these two carbon atoms. Therefore, if you locate a 1,5-hexadiene, it is between these are the 6 carbon atoms of the 1,5-hexadiene system. You can probably number the other carbons. Let's say this is 7, let's say this is 8. Of course, this is hypothetical numbering, nothing to do with the IUPAC system. As you know, with all Cope rearrangements, there is a cleavage of 3,4 bond and a formation of a 1,6 bond. Again, 1,2 double bond shifts to 2 and 3 position, 5,6 double bond shifts to 4 and 5 position. This is what we know. Let's try to work this out with the help of arrows. We'd say 3,4 bond breaks and it forms a 2,3 bond. 1,2 bond breaks and it forms a 1,6 bond, and probably 5,6 bond breaks and it forms a 4,5 bond when it is following a Cope rearrangement. Let's try to write the product here. Okay, 3,4 bond has broken, so I'm not drawing this bond, and I'll retain the numbering wherever it was. Sorry, this was 1, 2, 3, this one was 4, 3,4 bond has broken, 5, 6, this is 7, and let's say this is 8. You know 3,4 bond has broken and a bond between 1 and 6 is formed. This one. Of course, 1,2 double bond 1,2 double bond has led to the formation of the 1,6 single bond. 4,5 double bond is now at 4 and 5. 5,6 double bond is at 4 and 5 position. 3,4 single bond is now between 2 and 3 double bond. This is the molecule. Now this is the molecule which we have obtained post a Cope rearrangement of the starting compound. Now if I have to write this molecule properly, you can see that this is a bicyclic system which has a 5 carbon atom ring, and this one is a 6 carbon atom ring. If I have to write it again, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 carbon atom ring. I can write it like this, and this is a 5 carbon atom ring, something like this, right? There's a double bond at this carbon atom and there's a double bond here. This is the system which I am dealing with. I can easily see it. This is a 5-membered ring, this is a 6-membered ring, and these two carbons are bridgehead. As far as the IUPAC numbering is concerned, if I forget the previous numbering, as far as the IUPAC numbering is concerned, I have to name number bridgeheads first. So numbering can start from here or here. Numbering preferably starts from here, because once the numbering is followed, it moves to the larger ring, and the larger ring is this one. And if it moves to the larger ring, this double bond starting from this bridgehead gets a lower number. Therefore, I have to start numbering from here. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then the bricks takes to the next larger ring, 7, and last to this carbon atom here. So that means I have bridgehead at 1 and 5 position. Between two bridgeheads, I have 2 carbon atoms, I have 3 carbon atoms, and I have 1 carbon atom. So between two bridgeheads, I have 2 carbon atoms, I have 3 carbon atoms, and I have 1 carbon atom. This is bridgehead, let's say number 1. Attached to 1 is to the larger ring is 2, attached to 2 is 3, attached to 3 is 4, attached to 4 is bridgehead 5. Bridgehead 5 then leads to the smaller ring 6 and 7, and between 6 and 7 there is a double bond, between 1, 2 and 3 there is a double bond, and this is the 8 carbon atom. You can see the system which we have prepared is this one. Therefore, as you can see, the system might appear to be a bit complicated to start with, but if you follow the Cope rearrangement by the motion of the arrows, and remember, in all Cope rearrangements, the first thing we need to identify is to work out that which portion of the molecule is 1,5-hexadiene, and once you have done this thing, then you have to number that 1,5-hexadiene in an IUPAC manner, and subsequent numberings can be done regardless of the IUPAC nomenclature. What I'm trying to say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, this was the numbering of the hexadiene system only. I'm not considering other systems. Then I've given other carbon atoms further numbers irrespective of the fact that they are not following the IUPAC nomenclature. Once I've done this thing, then I have to locate that I have to break 3-4 bond, I have to join 1-6 bond, 1-2 double bond goes to 2 and 3, 5-6 double bond goes to 4 and 5. This is it. Once you follow this molecule, you end up in this structure. You write this structure properly, and using the bridgeheads, you end up in the formation of the desired product which we have obtained. Okay, let's take another example to substantiate what we are saying. Let's take second example here. We have to explain the mechanism leading to the transformation of this product, starting from the reactant which I am drawing here. Of course, this reaction is undergoing the thermal method. The mechanism followed is a concerted mechanism. Looking at the product and at the reactant, you can work out here, this is hydrogen and this one is carbon. Looking at the reactant to the product, you can work out that the difference between the reactant and the product is, earlier this deuterium was not a part of the ring, but in the product it is the part of the ring. Earlier this carbonyl group was deuterated, but in the product the carbonyl group is not deuterated. So how is this product getting converted to this one? In order to work out the nature of the reaction, again, one thing I'm witnessing in this reaction is that this particular reaction is one in which I have 2 double bonds, right? If I have 2 double bonds, I have to work out whether these 2 double bonds are a part of a 1,5-hexadiene moiety or not. And if it is, then probably my thermal conditions would force this reaction to follow a Cope rearrangement. Let's try to work out. This is first carbon atom, this one is second, this one would be third. Now fourth can be either this oxygen atom or this one. If this is fourth, then this is fourth, this is fifth and sixth. I can probably use this one as fourth, or I can use this one as fourth. Let's say I use this one as fourth to start with, and then I'd use this one also as fourth. Why I'm using this oxygen as fourth is because ultimately in the product you can see that this oxygen atom is involved in the reaction. If you're not understanding it for right now, let's leave this portion for the later part of this example discussion. We'll talk about this. Let's say I'm numbering this one. So I've worked out that this molecule is a 1,5-hexadiene with a double bond at 1 position and double bond at 5 position, and I know following Cope rearrangement, what happens is that your 1-2 double bond shifts to 2 and 3 position, 3-4 bond breaks, goes to 4-5 double bond, 5-6 bond breaks and forms a sigma bond between first and sixth carbon atom. Might appear very confusing to write, but once you write the product, open it properly, then you end up in the right structure. Let's see what are we working at. So we have prepared this portion of the molecule. We'll break 3-4 bonds, so I'm not drawing this bond. This was the molecule, deuterium, oxygen, hydrogen here. This number was, I'll retain the numbering here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and as I've told you, there's a bond formation between 1 and 6. 1-2 double bond goes to 2-3, 5-6 double bond goes to 4 5. Now this is my product of the rearrangement which has happened. 3 4 bond breaks, 1 6 bond is formed, 1 2 double bond goes to 2 3, 5 6 double bond goes to 4 5. Now this appears to be a very confusing kind of a molecule. Let's write it in a proper way, and let's number this system further also. Let's say this is the 7th carbon atom here, which I have not drawn. So this one is 7th. Now if you look at the ring system here in this particular molecule, this ring has broken. However, this ring is formed 1 2 3 4 5, a ring between 1 2 3 7 6. And how much atom this ring system is? 1 2 3 4 5. It's a 5 atom ring system. So can I write this ring system like this? And this has an oxygen atom, so oxygen is 1. Attached to the oxygen is the second carbon atom. Attached to second is the third carbon atom, and they are double bonded. Attached to 2 is a deuterium molecule. And then attached to 3 is the 7th carbon atom. Attached to 7 is the 6th carbon atom. Attached to 6 is the 5th carbon atom. 5th is carbonyl in nature, here oxygen is here, and attached to 5 is this hydrogen atom. If you look at the product, compare it with the starting compound, and then compare it with the product, you'd find that we've reached at the product using the Cope rearrangement by just moving the bond arrows, remembering this thing. First thing we need to locate is a 1,5-hexadiene. Then once a 1,5-hexadiene has been located, then we need to figure out, or we need to break the 3-4 bond and form a 1,6 bond, and then we need to shuffle our 1,2 double bond to 2 and 3 position, and 5,6 double bond to 4 and 5 position, and then writing the molecule in a proper way, we'll end up in the formation of the product. Now this particular example, before I move further, this particular example is the one which involves oxygen atom as a part of the diene system. Once it involves oxygen atom, this Cope rearrangement can be renamed as an oxy-Cope rearrangement because we'll be using an oxygen atom in this reaction. So I can call this rearrangement as oxy-Cope. I'll discuss this thing in the latter part of the video also. Now going to the previous thing, I've told that can I number this carbon atom as 4th? If I've numbered this carbon atom as 4th, what product would have witnessed? Let's try to work that out. I'll do this problem again. I'll write the structure again of the reactant. This is my reactant moiety. This one was my hydrogen here. This one was a carbonyl carbon. This one was deuterium. This was the reactant. And the product which I got as the result of the Cope rearrangement in this reaction was that hydrogen is replaced by deuterium. Here the deuterium is replaced by hydrogen. This is the change which we witnessed. If I number this carbon as 4th and consider this system as 1,5-hexadiene, this can also be 1,5-hexadiene. If that was the case, then what product would have resulted? Again, 3-4 bond breaks. As I know, it gets converted into a 4-5 double bond. There's a bond formation between 1 and 6, and 1-2 double bond goes to 2 and 3. This is the product. Let's try to write the product. We'll break 3-4 bond and retain the other things. 3-4 bond breaks, this bond still persists, this bond persists. There is a deuterium, there is a oxygen here. Let me number this. 1, this is 2, this is 3, this was 4, this is 5, this is 6, and let's number this oxygen atom as 8. Okay. 3-4 bond is broken and a bond between 6 and 1 is formed, something like this. Okay. A bond between 3 and 4, 5-6 double bond goes to 4 and 5, 1-2 double bond goes to 2 and 3 position. Is it right? 1-2 double bond goes to 2 and 3 position. That is the case. Now let's try to write the product in this particular reaction. If you see, this is a ring system which is formed, which comprises of oxygen 1, 2, 3, 8 and 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 atom system. And if it is a 5 atom system, I could have written the system like this. Oxygen atom here, then this is oxygen atom which is 1, this is carbon 2 which is attached to deuterium, 2 and 3 is double bond in nature, 3 is attached to another oxygen atom 8, so I have an oxygen atom here at 8, 8 is attached to 6, 6 is attached to 5, 5 is attached to 4. This would have been my product of the Cope rearrangement. Well, this is not the product as I have expected in the case of the as given in the reaction. Therefore, this hexadiene is not involved in the co-rearrangement. It was the other hexadiene which we took earlier in this example was the actual hexadiene which is involved in the co-rearrangement. Hence, if you want to work out the reactions in the co-rearrangement, figure out whether the reactant system contains 1,5-diene. If it has a 1,5-diene, try to break the 3,4 bond, form the 1,6 bond, 1,2 double bond shifts to 2 and 3, and the 5,6 double bond shifts to 4 and 5 position. That you have to remember while drawing this products. Now we'll talk about the rearrangements which are similar to Cope rearrangements. We'll start with the Claisen rearrangement. Claisen rearrangement probably is the first of the sigmatropic reactions to be discovered. And it involves allyl phenyl ethers as substrates. Remember, it's similar to Cope rearrangement, therefore it's again a 3,3 sigmatropic rearrangement. The mechanism of the reaction, the stereochemical mode, the reaction conditions are exactly similar to the Cope rearrangement. As I've told you, the system which is involved is a allyl phenyl ethers. So if it is this system, let's say to start with. So if it's this system to start with, you have an allyl system here attached to the oxygen atom, and here you have a phenyl system. So this molecule is O-allyl phenyl ethers as the reactant. This undergoes a thermal rearrangement of the order similar to that of the Cope rearrangement and results in the formation of orthoallyl phenols, this one, as the product. As the product of the Cope rearrangement, O-allyl phenols. Now, how does this reaction occur? This reaction, as I've told you, is exactly similar to the Cope rearrangement. If you look at the starting compound, it is orthoallyl phenyl ethers, which is this molecule. If you figure out here, again, this is a kind of a hexa 1,5-diene in which this double bond is at the first carbon atom, and you have a double bond at first carbon atom and a double bond at sixth carbon atom. In all hexa 1,5-dienes, you can see a double bond is attached to an allylic oxygen. This oxygen is sigma bonded to this sigma bonded group. Therefore, we think the hypothetical cleavage of this bond here, as in all sigmatropic reactions, the bond which is breaking is given 1,1 numbering, subsequent atom is given 2 and 3 numbering, subsequent atom is given 2 and is given 2 and 3 numbering. Since the third atom of the sigma bonded group joins the pi framework, the value of I is 3, and since it is the third atom of the pi framework onto which the sigma bonded group is joining, that's why the value of J is 3, and hence this is a 3,3 sigmatropic rearrangement. As in 3,3 sigmatropic Cope rearrangement, we've discussed that it is the 3,4 bond which breaks like this. As you can see with the motion of the bonds, you'll end up in this kind of a rearrangement. The result will be that reaction proceeds through, as in Cope rearrangement, a cyclic 6-member transition state wherein this bond is breaking here and this bond is forming. 1,2 double bond is breaking, a bond between 2 and 3 is forming. 4,5 double bond is breaking and a bond 5,6 double bond is breaking and a bond between 4 and 5 double bond is started getting formed. So I have a 6-membered cyclic transition state which is being followed while driving the reaction in the forward direction. The result would be of this rearrangement would be that ultimately 3,4 bond breaks and you'd have a bond between this and this, here and here. 1,6 bond is formed. So it is, again, if I retain the numbering, it is 1, 2, 3. This one would be 4, 5 and 6, and as you can see 1,6 bond is formed, 3,4 bond is broken, 1,2 double bond shifts to 2 and 3 position, 5,6 double bond shifts to 4 and 5 position. Since this is a phenolic moiety, this molecule is not stable. It can undergo an ionic isomeric formation of the more stable aromatic system, and this would result in the formation of the phenol moiety starting from the orthoallyl systems here, and the result will be the formation of orthoallyl phenols. This kind of a rearrangement which occurs in orthoallyl phenyls and is very much reminiscent of the Cope rearrangement is the Claisen rearrangement. Remember this thing, Claisen rearrangement is a 3,3 sigma-tropic rearrangement. It's a 3,3 sigma-tropic rearrangement. It's a 3,3 sigma-tropic rearrangement. This is one thing, so it is similar to Cope. Since it is 3,3, it is thermally permissible. Since it is thermally permissible, the stereochemical mode of course would be the default stereochemical mode, that is suprafacial retention. The reaction proceeds through a cyclic 6-membered, as in the case of Cope rearrangement, a chair-like transition state is followed, and the product is of course the rearranged product. And as in the case of Cope rearrangement, the forward and backward reactions energy requirements were similar, therefore the reactions are degenerated, hence the reversibility of the reaction can be expected in the systems, that starting from the product you can again get back the starting compound. So this is something regarding the Claisen rearrangement. If I have to talk about the mechanistic aspects, exactly similar to Cope rearrangement, the only difference that will come is the fact that in the case of Claisen rearrangement, the starting compound is orthoallyl phenyl ethers and the end product is orthoallyl phenols as your product in the case of these reactions. The second variant to the Cope rearrangement after Claisen rearrangement is the Oxy-Cope rearrangement. Oxy-Cope rearrangement is similar to the Cope rearrangement, that it is a 3,3 sigma-tropic shift. The only difference is that the substrate it uses is a hexa-1,5-diene, and at 3 position of this diene system you have a OH group and a hydroxy moiety is present. And the best part is that it converts this system, the hexa-1,5-diene 3-ol system, into unsaturated carbonyl compounds following a keto-enol tautomerism. When this is a very facile reaction, of course, like Cope rearrangement, this reaction is thermal in nature. It occurs under thermal conditions, right? It follows a chair-like transition state which is 6-membered in nature, similar to Cope rearrangement. The only difference, as I've told you, is the nature of the substrate on which it works. So if I'm talking about a hexa-1,5-diene, this one, and at 3rd position you have an OH moiety, then this molecule should be hexa-1,5-diene 3-ol. Oxy-Cope rearrangement works on this kind of system. The mechanism and the rearrangement would be similar. So we have to figure out that this is a 1,5-hexadiene system. Again, if you want to convert this into product, as I've told you, 3,4 bond breaks, 1,6 bond is formed, 1,2 double bond shifts and migrates to the 1,6 bond is formed, 5,4,5 double bond, 5,6 double bond shifts to 4,5 position, 1,2 double bond shifts to 2,3 position. So my product of this reaction should be this moiety. Now what is this? As a double bond and it will roll up, end up in an enol moiety. You know, enols are less stable, so they can be a keto-enol tautomerism in this reactant, and this would lead to the formation of the corresponding unsaturated compounds, the carbonyl compounds. So you have unsaturated aliphatic carbonyl compounds as the end products of this Oxy-Cope rearrangement. So reaction is very much similar, and it is a 3,3 sigma-tropic shift. It occurs under thermal conditions. It proceeds through a 6-member chair-like transition state, exactly similar to a Cope rearrangement. The only variant is that you have a hydroxy moiety on the nucleus of hexa-1,5-diene, which results in the formation of unsaturated carbonyl compounds following a keto-enol tautomerism in this case. Under base catalyzed conditions, probably this reaction is accelerated. Similar reaction if I do in the presence of a base. For example, let's say take sodium ethoxide as a base in this particular case. Then what will happen? I'll end up in the formation of the alkoxide ion here. Sodium alkoxide part will be formed. Once you have an anionic portion in this moiety, and what will happen is this oxygen would tend to stabilize the transition state, because as in all radiculoid species we have been advocating that there is a hypothetical cleavage of the sigma bond which leads to the formation of two radiculoids, the sigma bonded group and the pi framework, and radiculoids being electron deficient in nature, any substitution pattern that could probably infuse electron density onto this system would stabilize it. Therefore, the presence of the alkoxide moiety, the negative charge on oxygen, further strengthens the further provides a strong enough electron density to the system to make it stable. Hence, this kind of a rearrange would be more fissile than the earlier arrangement. The reaction would occur in a similar way. That is, it's a concerted mechanism to start with, and will result in the formation of this kind of a system here. And finally, there will be some kind of a acceptance of proton from the solution or from the medium, and the result would be similar, that you will end up in the formation of unsaturated carbonyl compounds. This rearrangement, which involves the anion, can be called as the anionic oxycope rearrangement, which should be more facile than the oxycope rearrangement as such. Let's take an example to explain this thing. Let's start with this molecule and figure out what will be the product formed in the reaction. One wedge here and a double bond here. This is my system. If it undergoes a thermal concerted reaction, what product will be formed? Now figure out this molecule. First of all, try to figure out, since this molecule has two double bonds, is this a 1,5-hexadiene? If you want to figure this out, I have to number the system. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So I can figure out that this is a 1,5-hexadiene molecule, and importantly also at the third position of this hexadiene molecule I have an OH group, which probably is the substrate for the oxycope rearrangement. Therefore I can see or witness that this molecule should follow an oxycope rearrangement. The rearrangement is simple. That means there's a cleavage of the 3,4 bond, and you can move the arrows in any direction. You can move it in this direction. The 5,6 double bond breaks, and it forms a bond between 1 and 6 atom. 1, 2 double bond breaks and forms a bond between 2 and 3. So my product of this rearrangement should be, let's try to form this molecule. This portion remains intact. This portion remains intact. In fact, this bond between 3 and 4 cleaves. This is OH. You have a double bond here. This is the first carbon. Let me retain the numbering. 1, 2, 3. 3, 4 bond broke. 4, 5, 6. And if I continue the numbering on the remaining atoms, let's say this is 7, let's say this is 8, let's say this is 9, and let's say this is 10. So this is what, this one was 7, this is 8, this is 9, this is 10. This is nothing to do with IUPAC numbering, just arbitrary numbering has been followed. Okay, a double bond, a 5-6 double bond, 3-4 bond has converted into a 4-5 double bond, and a bond is formed between the first and sixth carbon atom. So I have this bond formation here, this one, between first and sixth carbon atom. Now this is a very confusing kind of a ring, but I have to figure out that in this ring what are the bridgeheads now. If I retain the numbering, I can probably work here. You can see this carbon atom 6 and 7 are the ones on which the two rings are joined. Now if you look at the size of the rings, probably you can say that in this particular case, in between the carbon atom 6 and 7, I have, if you follow this portion of the ring, between 6 and 7 carbon atoms, attached to 6 is 1, 2, 3 and 8. So 6, 1, 2, 3, 8, 7 is one ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 membered is one ring. I can write it like this, 6 membered system. Bridgehead is 6, bridgehead is 7. Attached to 6 was 1, attached to 1 was 2, attached to 2 is 3, attached to 3 is 8, and attached to 8 is 7. Between 2 and 3 you have a double bond, attached to 3 you have a OH moiety is the system. And if you look at 6 and 7, the 6 and 7 are directly joined, and between 6 and 7, 7 is attached to 9, is attached to 10, is attached to 4, is attached to 5, and 5 is attached to 6. So if you look at the size of this ring, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So another 6-membered ring. Attached to 6 is 5. Attached to 5 is 4. 4 and 5 are double bond. Attached to 4 is the 10th atom. Attached to 10th is 9, and 9th is further attached to the 7th atom, right? And if you look at this, I've ended up in a bicyclic system, which is a 6,6 bicyclic compound, and this is the enol form, which can tautomerize to the keto form. So my product of this kind of cope, in fact an oxy-cope rearrangement, can be following. If you write the reaction for this thing, could be this one. Now regarding the stereochemical aspects, you see that carbon atoms 6 and 7 were here, 6 and 7. If this group is above the plane, then probably the hydrogen here should have been here, somewhere here. This hydrogen is here. Both hydrogens are having similar kinds of position, so both hydrogens can be either drawn above the plane, or both hydrogens can be drawn either drawn above the plane, or both hydrogens can be drawn below the plane. So this is one example of your oxy-cope rearrangement. The rearrangement, remember, in all cases, whenever there's a word cope is been used, or even present rearrangement, the rearrangement remains similar. That is 1,5-hexadiens are involved, that is 3,4 bond breaks, that is 1,6 bond forms, that is 1,2 double bond shifts to 2 and 3 position, that is 5 and 6 double bond shifts to 4 and 5 position. The next similar kind of cope rearrangement is the aza-cope rearrangement. Now aza-cope rearrangement is exactly similar to the cope rearrangement. The difference is that this occurs in hexa 1,5-diene systems containing an iminium moiety in its nucleus. So it's similar to cope rearrangement. It's a 3,3 sigma-tropic shift. If it is following a concerted mechanism, the reaction is thermal in nature, with the suprafacial retention stereochemical mode following. In fact, you need to have an iminium moiety in it for the reaction to be an aza-cope rearrangement. In fact, the aza-cope rearrangements are divided into 3 types. The 1 aza-cope, 3 aza-cope, and the 2 aza-cope rearrangement. When we write 1 aza-cope rearrangement, this would mean that we are considering a system in which you have an imine moiety like this at the first position of the 1,5-hexadiene system like this. So this is my 1,5-hexadiene system with an imine moiety at first position. The reaction would proceed in a similar fashion, that is, there is a cleavage of a 3,4 bond and a formation of a 1,6 bond. 1,2 bond shifts to 2 and 3 position, 5,6 bond shifts to 4 and 5 position. You have to write the product. All I need to do is to move the arrows in this direction or the other direction, and the result would be the formation of double bond here, a double bond here. This nitrogen gets here, and this one is your molecule. Now you can see that these reactions are reversible going from forward. Since we are using here is a 1 aza hexa 1,5-diene as a starting compound, and this one is 3 aza hexa 1,5-diene as the product. Going from forward reaction to the product, this is a 1 aza-cope rearrangement, and going from the product to the reactant in this direction, in the opposite direction, the nitrogen atom is at third position. The reaction would be similar. That is, if I have to name this system, I would have named the system in this way. This bond would have broken, formed this thing. This bond would have broken and formed a sigma bond between 1 and 6. 1, 2 bond should have gone to 2 and 3. That means the recipient for the cope rearrangement, while going backwards, that is from the product to the reactant, is having nitrogen at third position. Therefore, we can call the backward reaction as 3 aza-cope rearrangement. Therefore, the front reaction in which nitrogen is present at the first atom of the hexa 1,5-diene is a 1 aza-cope rearrangement, whereas the backward reaction is a 3 aza-cope rearrangement. But more important is the 2 aza-cope rearrangement, as this involves the iminium ion present at the second carbon atom of the nitrogen. Therefore, the substrate for the azacope rearrangement. In this particular case, the 2-azacope rearrangement, or simply called as the azacope rearrangement, is nitrogen present at the second atom, and also this nitrogen in its nature is of course a hydrogen here. This nitrogen of course here would be iminium in nature, C double bond and positive, and positively charged, and because of the positive charge effect on nitrogen atom, these reactions would be more facile, more faster than the corresponding cope rearrangement. Now what will happen? The reaction process is again similar. If you have to write the product, we need to move the bond arrows in this direction, and if you move the bond arrows in this direction, the product will be this one. Still positive charge here, positive charge here. This was first, sixth, fifth, fourth. This is 3, and this is the second atom. So going from backward, going from the reactant to the product is again is a 2-azacope. Going from the product again coming to the reactant is again a 2-azacope rearrangement, which occurs in the iminium ion. So the recipient for the azacope rearrangement in the 2-azacope rearrangement is the iminium 1,5-hexadiene systems. We can call this 2-azacope rearrangement as cationic azacope rearrangement, or the right way of writing this reaction or terming this reaction would be 2-azonia 3,3 sigmatropic reactions. Largely saying, this reaction would fall under the compass of the pericyclic reactions, that is, it is concerted. However, since the involvement of ions are present, we can have our imagination going in a way that this reaction can possibly follow either an ionic mechanism or a dialectical mechanism. But for the sake of simplicity, we'd consider this reaction following a thermal mechanism only. Azacope rearrangement, in particular the 2-azacope rearrangements, are thermoneutral in nature. When we use this word thermoneutral in nature, this means that the positive charge is present in the reactant, a positive charge is present in the product, therefore no bias for starting material or the product. Moreover, the presence of the charges on nitrogen atom, the charged heteroatom, which is nitrogen in this case, lowers the activation energy barrier of this reaction, and if it does so, which means that the 2-azacope rearrangement, or simply the azacope rearrangement, should be more facile than the cope rearrangement. Hence azacope rearrangements are faster than the cope rearrangement because one, the azacope rearrangements have similar kind of reactant and product. That means if this is positively charged, this is also positively charged, therefore they are thermoneutral in nature, no biasing for the reactant or the product. Moreover, the presence of the charged atom on nitrogen here, the presence of this charge on the nitrogen atom, or the presence of the charged atom in the case of this substrate, makes this molecule a bit unstable and further lowers the activation energy barrier, making this reaction proceed faster. In fact, practically speaking also, these reactions, the azacope reactions, are far faster than the cope rearrangement because of the presence of the positive charge on nitrogen atom. Now the synthetic utility of this reaction is maximized when we couple azacope rearrangement, or the 2-azacope rearrangement, with managed cyclization. These are extremely favorable reaction conditions. If we use Azacope rearrangement and manage cyclization reaction, then we would end up in the formation of desired heterocyclic products, which occurs under mild conditions, have good diastereoselectivity, and has a wide range of synthetic applicability. And this provides an easy access to, as I've told you, this provides an easy access to pyrrolidines, which are otherwise difficult to prepare, with mild conditions, good diastereoselectivity. That means there is a stereochemical control in this reaction, and also this has with wide synthetic applicability. So a number of researchers have coupled the Azacope rearrangement and managed reaction to use or to synthesize desired heterocyclic compounds with a lot of ease.
Because we are comfortable.
Now what we mean to say is this thing, that let's say if we have a substrate which is a recipient for the Azacope rearrangement like this, let's say an ammonium ion present here in the 1,5-hexadiene system, and let's say at the third position you have an OH group. Now this would undergo an Azacope rearrangement, and if it undergoes an Azacope rearrangement, the product would be this one. A positive charge here, positive charge here, sorry, double bond here, a positive charge here, and an OH group here. This is the product of the Azacope rearrangement. Now if it so happens that in order to have a stability provided to this nitrogen atom to quench the nitrogen's positive charge, if it so happens that this oxygen under base catalyzed conditions, as in managed reaction, in managed cyclization, you take a base, generate the alkoxide ion, this oxygen will move here, this electrons will come to this carbon atom here, and if this carbon atom attacks this carbon atom here so that the nitrogen's positive charge is quenched, the result will be the formation of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 membered ring containing nitrogen atom like this. If I number the system, let's say this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. There's a bond formation between 5 and 1. Nitrogen is at second position. This is the first carbon atom, this is the fifth carbon atom, this is fourth, this is third. The nitrogen's positive charge is now quenched, since this pi bond moves on the nitrogen atom and forms a lone pair. Attached to the fifth carbon atom is the sixth carbon atom here, which resulted in the formation of a double bond here, and here you have a, let's say, carbonate functionality like this. So my end product is the formation of this pyrrolidine ring following managed cyclization through the Azacope rearrangement. So this is an excellent synthetic methodology by which first an Azacope rearrangement occurs, followed by a cyclic managed cyclization to result in the formation of a heterocyclic systems with extreme ease under very mild conditions and in high orders of diastereoselectivity. So this is something regarding your Azacope rearrangement. So in today's lecture, we have discussed the examples of Cope rearrangement. We have talked about different types of Cope rearrangement, which involves, which includes Claisen rearrangement, the Oxy-Cope rearrangement, the Azacope rearrangement, and their synthetic applicabilities. In the next video, we'll be talking about the fluxional molecules and the yin reaction. Thank you.